right, I'm Scott Allen Miller. This is Thursday night, and that means it is time for the Nicaragua Live. And holy cow, are we late? And it has been a very rough day around here. Between work stuff and one of our cats was killed, or it turns out not one of our cats was killed, but a cat was killed. In our yard. Must be the father of our cats is the only thing we can figure out. But it would be something. Sorry, we are trying to get the show started, trying to let people know. Janet says, while we're here, how does it sound, Janet? You can hear me okay? I'm on my iPhone, sitting because my hardware for doing the show is broken, and it took me 2 hours, after already being incredibly late trying to get the show going, to get the show going. This microphone's not even usable. I'm just going to get rid of that. I don't know what to do. I need to buy new hardware as a major problem. I'm just going to go look and see what my options are. It's not super impressed with this piece of hardware. Died pretty quickly, but it was not expensive, so... Oh my gosh, $224. I was thinking it was like $80. $224. I have had it for just under 2 years. And it died. That's ridiculous. Here's something that would probably work for $44. I think I'll give that a try. All right, sounds good. That's awesome. All right. Cool. It looks like I can find a replacement for cheap, adding that to my cart. All right. Yeah, it's been a day. Been a day. So this cat was killed in our yard. We thought it was ours. It was so badly killed that we couldn't identify which one it was. We went most of the day thinking it was one of the gray cats. Then my wife said it was our black cat. So we were really upset because originally we didn't know who it was. It was just one because all the cats had scattered. And so there was kind of that ambiguity that's both very sad and lacks some concreteness. But then my wife gave us this concreteness with, oh no, it was this cat. So we were super sad about losing that cat. Then we discovered that cat, but not one of the others, and we're very sad because we figured out that it was that other cat. And then after that, all the cats were together, and we're like, all the cats are together? And then our security guard's like, yeah, I've seen all 4 cats together, the kittens, and we know the mother's okay. She looks different than the others, and she was with us the whole day. So it was just a whole bunch of going through thinking we had lost different pets throughout the day, and then at the end of the day, we're pretty sure that the dad cat gave his life to save the kittens, which is better, but also very sad. And so he is buried with what we believe. Hopefully we still have audio because it's an Apple and it constantly connects and disconnects. Yes, it says it's okay, but who knows if it's coming and going because it constantly disconnects. So I have dogs at my feet. I'm trying to get work done in the background. It is so late. How's everyone doing this week? And I can't even see you guys because I'm trying to monitor that things are actually working. My dad popped in just to say good night. Sorry that it's such a rough startup. Yeah, it's quite a day. For those who didn't see, on Al Jazeera, they actually filmed in front of our offices today in Buenos Aires as the government started to put down protesters because they don't want to listen to the people as to what they're doing with giving away land, public land, to foreign companies in our we hear that sound. If you can hear it, that is the microphone disconnecting. So let me know if there's dropouts from, yeah, the sound bleep, and it's changing, it's changing cells. It's not changing cells, it's just disconnecting. everything on a Mac disconnects regularly. It's just part of the Mac experience. Nothing is stable. It it detects other devices around it and randomly decides that the AirPods do the same thing. It will randomly jump between devices, even though you're using it and it's really clear. It'll be like, oh, your headphones, you're talking on a meeting. Oh, you must want to connect to your iPhone that's idle, right? That's off. And it'll just jump to that. And it's really, really frustrating. But yeah. And then we had an issue with a live draw today, and luckily it logged that it wasn't our issue. Okay. Janet says, I recently had a class where a student was using their phone and the connection kept dropping because of this issue. I've had two so far. Well, her phone was totally reconnecting periodically. The video is constant. Yeah, the video is going through the broken conversion hardware that I now need to replace, and the audio is going through my cell phone sitting on the table, which is a terrible situation. At least it has a good microphone in it. I'm ready to kill this hardware. It is so frustrating trying to use this stuff. I mean, this is every week. Every week I go through this. Just normally I have more time, and I'm doing this at 3 o'clock in the afternoon for hours trying to get the show ready. And it's just gotten worse and worse. Now, I've been doing this to some degree since 6 o'clock, so 3.5 hours kind of. And yeah, it's dead. So that is kind of that. Haha, I had an ad, then the sound bleeped while I was gone. Ah, good. Oh, what is the actual equipment that died? It's a Rode Streamer X. It's a rather expensive microphone and video thing for streaming. I mean, it has run for 2 years and it's on all the time, but it's designed to work that way. They don't give a power switch to it, which it really desperately needs. So you're yanking out cables for every little thing. It is so poorly designed from that standpoint. Definitely not impressed in that way. So, oh, I think Janet is letting people know that we're live. I forgot to tell, anyone. So, yeah. So my whole day has just been a bit of panic and dealing with other people's problems and the cat issue, which was absolutely horrendous. And the cat at least taught the dog a lesson and sent him to the hospital. So we had to take our dog to the hospital. Oh no. And he's okay. But that was another thing that had to be done. It's been a lot throughout the day. And here we are. Just I figured since I was the only one here. Yeah. So hopefully the audio is still working now. It's so hard to monitor. Yeah, it looks okay. I can't see you guys and the audio at the same time, so it's just... And there it's back. Not designed to work for more than 3 minutes at a time, apparently, is the overall design of that. I'm going to shut down this laptop just in case that's the thing interfering. That drives me crazy that just working on two computers makes so many things break. Like, what era is this? right, guys, I need some conversation. I'm seriously burned out today. Like I'm at my wits end from just all the things. So I got the Nicaragua expats, Leon. Oh, thank you. So we got 15 people on. We got a fair number of people. Let's get some conversation going. Nice if this computer would shut down. It's doing a you must have a password to turn off the computer. Like, are you serious? If I say shut down, I expect it to turn off, no ifs, ands, or buts, always. It says log off some other user. No, we're not going to log off some other user. I'm going to pull the power out. What the hell? And it turned itself on instead of off. Oh my gosh, I'm frustrated. I'm so frustrated. I can't even turn this computer off. And they're turned on again. Every time I hit the power button, instead of turning off, it just turns. And the microphone's back. There it says it turned off now. We will see. That's weird, it won't turn off. Yeah, Macs, they actually have like so many things to make sure they stay on. It's crazy. They're very, very, I mean, they're not Windows bad, but they're very hard to use. Yeah, the thing is I need macOS for some of the hardware, but oh my god, I especially need it for development work because a lot of stuff I use doesn't release on Linux, which makes me really upset because I don't want to be on this Mac crap. It really isn't stable. It's not like it used to be, but it's not like it should be either. I mean, it's still better than Windows, obviously, but like this is seriously bad. And there, all I did was rub the case. I didn't press a button. I rubbed the case trying to get some dirt off, and it turned on. That's one of the reasons why the Macs get so dirty is because you can't actually clean them. Trying again. Shut down. That's like the 7th time I've shut it down while doing the show. So is there a genie in there? Yeah, there should be by now. Yeah, so it's been, I guess, so what's been going on this week? Other than riots in yeah, they're not what they used to be. Yeah, there was a period where they were terrible, and then there's a period where they were pretty good, and now they've definitely gone downhill. Now this one's older, right? This one's not nearly as old. My desktop is older, but it's old. I'm going to try connecting this hardware to the laptop just to see if there's any chance that makes it work better. But I don't see how that's possible. But the laptop is probably 3 years old, and the desktop is actually 5 years old. So the desktop's on the old side, and it's slated for replacement, but I don't want to replace it with something old. So I've got an M1 and an M2, and current is M5, but they haven't released an M5 Mac Mini, only laptop. I have no idea why the laptops are more than just a little bit ahead of desktops, but they are, in some cases, significantly ahead. And so a lot of my staff has M3s and M4s, and with the stuff I do, I really need it, and I really need twice as much RAM. And so the M2 with a bunch on the laptop is fine, that works. But the M1 is definitely anemic, even though it has the same RAM. And its internal hard drive is so small, which really causes a lot of problems for me. So I want to get what they thought was going to come out a while ago, the M5 Mac Mini, but it didn't come out. And so there's a rumor that the M6 is going to come out, but it's only a rumor. But at this point, I'm holding out for the M6 Mac Mini, which would be a full 5 generations newer than what I have. And I'm hoping to get at least twice as much RAM. So the difference will be quite noticeable, I'm thinking. Especially because I push mine all day long, so it really should be. Should be noticeable. Ramon went to one of his War Buddies get-togethers over the weekend. He got a cool shirt from it. Well, that's awesome. Oh, hey, my home hub from Apple is not responding. Randomly disconnects as well. And just constantly. I only get that about once a day. But about once a day, it just pops up. It's just funny that it did just now. In the midst of doing the show with everything disconnecting and broken. Like, it's a madhouse. I don't know. I feel like we had some good topics for this week, and I honestly can't think of what it would be. Steve is on an M1 Max with 32 gig and a 2 terabyte. Yeah, I'm on a M1 regular, same age, but half the power or whatever. 16 gig, which at the time was pretty good, especially on the unified architecture. And then it's like 256 gig, which is sad. Sad to say the least. So that's been a huge problem. I mean, 16 gig at the time was good, and the stuff I was doing on the desktop, it didn't matter. I was never impacted by it. But now I'm pushing the desktop so freaking hard because lots of development stuff and Final Cut Pro. I wasn't doing Final Cut Pro when I first got this. So the difference in how I work all throughout the day is so different that everything has changed. Right. I had to drive people around today. That took several hours and run some errands. Right now, my wife, Dominica, and Marcella are out dancing salsa. So I took them out, and we have to go pick them up later. And, yeah, I feel like it's... I feel like I just can't think of anything. That's where I am. My brain is fried. So turning off the other computers must have worked. You're right. It has been stable since I turned off the other computer. So that is a consistent problem. Finally here, was it my text? You helped. You helped get me hours ago. I've been working on the computer for so many hours to try to get it connect. I need new hardware. Brian, come visit and bring me hardware. Everything is broken. Oh, Jan says, I think Jerry and Marisol are going to the other one in November, so I'm going to try to go then. It's not just Kuapa, it's some other mountain place. Oh, cool. Oh, Steve says, today I thought I'll get 64 gig and M2 Max. The M2 Max is old now. You can get an M4 Max. I think the M5 Max is expected to come. So turning off, well, I have more classes tonight, probably 1.5 an hour than one at midnight. I'm only going to go so late tonight because I am mentally distressed is how I feel. Like things are okay. Like I'm not, I don't want everybody to panic. It's just today has been too much. And with everything not working tonight, it just was overwhelming. And I have so much to do. That's really It's like the more I have a lot of stuff that I need to work on, the more everything breaks and everybody then like starts interrupting. I mean, the cat thing couldn't be helped, right? But it's everyone starts interrupting me. Oh, I just need a ride. Oh, it's just this little thing. Oh, I feel like going out tonight. Oh, there's no one else to take us. Can you do it? And suddenly, hours upon hours upon hours of my day are lost, and it's not just the time it takes to do things, but it's also the interruptions mean I lose everything. And like working on this thing with the computer, that means my computer had to restart, which means every single project I was in flight on had to be wrapped up, ended, packaged, and then everything restarted, and then look at it again. And the same thing, I had two computers that I'm working on. I had to shut both of them down completely, multiple times in both cases. And so any attempt to work on anything results in all this time to set something up and then to tear it all down again. And it just... And normally, doing this show is like my release time. It's this time to relax and hang out with you guys. And obviously, if you guys have questions, jump in if anybody's got stuff or things you want to talk about. But it's supposed to be my relaxing, long evening of just hanging out and getting some socialization in this weird way. And instead, I put in 6 hours trying to get the camera going, stressed like every time going, well, I hope it works this time so I can save a minute or two. And then at some point, it's like, well, we've lost the night no matter what, no matter how we spin it. And so I put hours and hours into I put at least 2 hours into every hour we could possibly do the show. Like, that's nuts. So, yeah. But so what do you guys got going on? Tell me something. Talk to me. None of your business. My fun task of the week: AD certificate services hard crashed as the person that built it only made the root cert only 1 year versus 10 years or more. I roll. Now tell us the truth. Did you build it? Or worse, did I build it? No, definitely not within the last year. That sucks. Yes, Janet, today was too much. I agree. And while running out to take care or trying to do anything to we had to save all the cats from the dogs. It wasn't just the dog killing one cat, is that it was widespread mayhem, and we had to run out there and find them and save them. It was so bad. My youngest ran out barefoot and burned the crap out of her feet because it's so hot, and she was on the tarmac, on the pavement. And so she went out without shoes, and just now she's got to wear socks to protect her feet, and she's staying in bed from the pain, and and we didn't manage to save any more. I mean, none of the others were injured, but it didn't end up making a difference. So that was it was a rough day. I tried to get a Go remote job. Go programming, I'm sure, as iOS engineer, but failed. Oh, that sucks. I like Go work. That's what I normally do. I really like Go. It's been a lot of fun. A friend of mine has never programmed before, and she's doing some learning in Python. She's definitely the type of person that if you knew her, you'd be like, I bet she would program. And I've got her into Go now. She's checking out Go, so we'll see if she ends up liking that. Is the speed limit still 50 kilometers an hour on the highway? If so, how's that been? Yes, it is still 50, and it sucks. The upside is we're seeing a lot fewer dead things on the highway. So, I mean, fewer accidents, fewer fatalities as far as I know. From what we see, it seems safer. Does that make it worth it? I don't know. Maybe we need to kill a few more people for the convenience, because it is a lot of convenience. It's hard to put value on life like that, right? But that's... Sorry. That's the entire equation: is how many people are you willing to have die? And to be fair, essentially all the dead people chose to be the dead people by not wearing seatbelts, right? So it's pretty rare, and I mean truly pretty rare, that there's someone who dies that was wearing a seatbelt. It's just how many of the people who chose to allow themselves to die that we allowed to die is the kind of the needle we're trying to move. It's an odd situation. Silver is here. Hi, everyone. But, of course, not many people actually drive 50. There isn't that much enforcement. And importantly, there aren't that many places you are actually averaging above 50 before. So even if you are driving at 50, while that feels painfully slow, in a lot of cases, it's not that much longer to get places because it has eliminated a lot of accidents. Going from here to Managua, having an accident in the middle was common, right? And that would slow everything down and cause traffic. And the people trying to go super fast and causing problems did actually hurt traffic. So slowing everything down to 50 and maintaining speeds that basically allow you to just maintain that speed all the time obviously makes things take longer. I am not suggesting that it somehow magically doesn't, but the amount that it has impacted that it is slower is not nearly as much as you would expect. So many things that can never find stuff. Well, you guys are quiet. Very, very quiet. Need more talking. Hey, Scott, I heard Toliga was burping? How's that going? Oh, yes. So my mind first went to the city of Toliga and not the volcano of Toliga. And I was trying to figure out how the expression burping works. Like bustling, perhaps, or something like that. That's where my brain went. No. So the Vulcan Toliga, the Toliga complex, as it is known, is a massive active volcanic complex slightly north of the city of Leon, and it has been throwing a whole bunch of ash recently. I probably should have jumped to that first, given that we have an erupting volcano just outside of the city. But yeah, so that's been erupting. Honestly, these eruptions, we only find them interesting, even living here and living really close. Like, obviously, the city of Tolica is closer than the city of Leon to the Tolica complex. But even up in Tolica, right, all of this stuff is just fun, right? Volcanoes erupting. No one really lives on the volcano. So it's just... it's just cool, right? It's kind of like you have a big thunderstorm, it rains a whole bunch, and people are like, how is it? Well, until it's a hurricane and it like blows your building down, it's just interesting. And you may be annoyed by, I wanted to go out tonight and I don't want to have to go out in this rain. Or you might be like, I really wanted a clear sky and now it's dusty. But ultimately, whether it's a volcano or a big storm here, generally they have zero like actual day-to-day impact. And so they're really just like, oh, cool, right? Did we feel it? Did we hear it? Can you see it? It's fun because very few of us grew up around volcanoes. Larry is here, just jumped on as they opened the KFC in the Galleria. Is it in the Galleria? I thought it was just on the Carretera Messiah, or is there a second one? Second would make sense. I'm ready for a Managua trip. Does everyone Oh, this is Silver. Does everyone agree that learning Spanish is a must when living in Nicaragua as an English speaker? I don't think it's a must in order to live in Nicaragua, but I think it's a must once you're living in Nicaragua, right? Like, so this is actually a great topic. The rule of thumb is do not allow a lack of language to hold you back from moving to nearly any country. There are exceptions. Primarily, the exceptions are places that do not speak a language anywhere close to anything you speak. For example, you're moving to someplace and you speak a European language, and there's just no way that you're going to quickly understand what they're saying, and they are not quickly going to understand what you're saying, right? If you only speak English and you move to Romania, for example, which I've done, and you live in a place where nobody speaks English, which I've done, it's slightly more annoying. But they know a few words of yours, you know a few words of them, and you get over it. And it's really easy to point, and you have a whole bunch of cultural context to make it easy. And you have a whole bunch of, like, when you go into the butcher and you point at meat, they know what you want, right? Like, you don't need words. It's amazing how little of the day you need words for what you actually do. And so don't let that hold you back, unless it's something truly, truly hard to deal with. And any of the, right, whether you're going from Slavic to Greek to Romance to Celtic to German, it's all decently easy. If you're in a Indo-European language family and moving between another one, right, don't worry at all. Which is, if you speak English and you're coming to a Spanish-speaking country, you're fine. But once you're there, two things happen. One, you go from cursory exploration of the country to wanting to understand it. It could be wanting to learn history. It could be wanting to learn detailed ways around. It could be wanting to interact with your neighbors, become part of the community more. Any number of things are going to become more important to you, and you're going to want a deeper understanding of the world around you. So you'll want that language. Also, people who accepted you not speaking the language in your first 6 months, who were like, oh, that's so awesome that you moved here when you didn't know the language. We're so proud of you. This will be easy. At some point, they will change to resentful. You've been here for a while. Why haven't you learned the language? At least some, right? What's causing that? And so you want to start learning during that, and then people will want to help you along your journey. And the sooner you do it, the more they're going to want to help you on your journey. You don't want to be here for years and years and years and be that person who just never learned it. Some people can't, and that's just the way it is. But most of us, even people who are pretty bad with languages like me, eventually start to pick it up quite a bit. Put in some effort, do Duolingo, and do some stuff like me. I make a little bit of effort with my Duolingo, and I post my successes. Oh, I got a new score. Oh, I got a big streak. Let people know that I'm taking it seriously. So when they're like, wow, you're bad at Spanish, I can be like, yes, but not because I haven't tried, right? And that helps. And plus, I live in the barrio, which helps learn more Spanish because there's no English speakers around. But living in the barrio also gives me some street cred, but encourages me to learn even more Spanish because no one speaks English. Edwin, Scott, how many hours is it from Leon to Corinto by car? So the interesting thing is where I have a house in Las Penitas to Corinto is extremely close. If you had a speedboat, you'd be there in no time. The issue is, if you're looking at a map, Corinto's here, Las Penitas is here, Chinandega is here, Leon is here. You have to go up to Leon, all through the city. The city itself takes 30 minutes to navigate. Get to the highway, get up to Chinandega. You can't really go straight. You can, kind of, but it's terrible. You go all the way around Chinandega on the loop road. Then you go all the way out to Corinto. But when you get to Corinto, you kind of go up and then down on this big thing. So to actually get there is an unbelievably long drive, even though it's, as the crow flies, really close. And if you put a camera on a balloon, you'd see it, right? Like a drone would see Corinto from the beaches of Leon. The only saving grace, of course, is that no one has ever wanted to go to Corinto from Leon, so it's not really a big deal. But overall, I would say if you're coming from Leon City, it's going to take you at least an hour and a half, if not 2 hours, to get to Corinto under normal circumstances. And if you're coming from the Leon beaches, definitely 2 hours, maybe a little bit more, which is crazy. Um, Wesley says, that's what I did in Vietnam. When I was at a restaurant, I would just point at someone else's food. I can only eat at places where I'll have what she's having. Edwin says, Managua Leon is 96 kilometers of distance and 2 hours long depending on traffic intensity at the Carretera Vieja or Nueva a Leon, passing construction site and saturated Ciudad Sandino main road. Right now, it's Najapa that's the problem, not Ciudad Sandino. You can always get around Ciudad Sandino. It can be slower, but it's not that bad. Our record going from Sutiava, so past Leon, going all the way through Leon, through the city, all the way out partway to the beach, and going to the airport, so going all the way through Managua, our record is 75 minutes. Larry says, get a live-in. We're on the live show, so I read it as live. Get a live-in Nicaraguan and you will learn Spanish. That is true. That's very true. Find someone who's very accommodating to correcting you. This is a problem that I found. You guys know I spend a lot of time with Marcella. She's very, very bad at correcting you in Spanish, to the point where even when you're asking, she'll just ignore you. Right? ¿Cómo se dice? And you explain the thing, you point to the thing, she'll just like... And you'll work, and then you'll come up with it because you'll go research it somewhere, and then she'll be like, oh, I see. And it's like, come on, you knew what the word for this was. Whereas other people, like my friend Ava, will immediately help you learn the language. So find someone who's a live-in. They don't have to speak English at all. In fact, it probably helps if they don't. Find someone who speaks good Spanish and is willing to put up with how bad you are at it. And you'll be like, what is this? Un plato. Ah, un plato. Okay. Y vamos a comer pollo. Ah, pollo. Right? And you can be like, ah, galleta. No. Es pollo. Pollo cuando es comida. Ah, okay. Sarah says, I'm learning Espanol little by little, poco a poco, Duolingo, but I'll learn fast when I get to Nicaragua. Yes. I find that Duolingo is very useful. I think it really helps. Just my wife is messaging me because our office was on Al Jazeera. She's like, it's never a good thing when your house is on Al Jazeera. OMG. I'm like, yeah. And it's really funny that we were watching with better video the events that Al Jazeera was showing, because Al Jazeera had to film from the ground, but we had the elevated position, so it was clear shots of everything. No 89 Landry says, good thing is we don't have a thick accent, nor do we speak too fast, I think. No, it's true. Nicaraguans do have an accent, but it's not very thick. It's ranked by people who rank these things as a medium difficulty Spanish to learn. It is not one of the easy ones like Guatemala. They're the easiest. Castellano is very easy, but I learned in Andalusia, which is one of the mediums. Mexico is a medium light. Nicaragua is in a medium. And then there's some that are just crazy. Argentina and Chile are ridiculously hard. I find Costa Rica much harder than here. I find Panama harder than here. But places like Panama, I always say that because you hear me say Panama, because I'm so used to even living there that we would just say, yeah, I live in Panama. But its real name is Panama, and so I always say it and then remember to say it in Spanish and correct it. But Nicaragua is pretty easy. The thing that makes it hardest, and this is real, is one, there is a bit of slang compared to some places, but not very much compared to Mexico. But it does have its colonial structure, and so it uses the Vos form in a way that almost no one else does, and it uses it consistently. So here's my example that I always say. If you want to say you have, I don't know, food. Tienes comida. You have food. And it's the full thing is two tienes comida, but you don't have to say two because he said tienes. And so that's the only thing that gets the two is you, and tienes is you have. And so since you're saying you have, you don't need the two. There's no situation where you can use tienes that two wasn't in front of it, so you can drop it. And that totally makes sense really quickly in learning Spanish. The problem is that if you're learning in Mexico or Spain or the US, you're going to say two tienes. And we often say the two because we find it hard to drop it. Here, they say tenes, not tienes. And I know that's really close. And you're going to say, that's basically just an accent, Scott. What are you talking about? But trust me, when you're trying to listen to all the sounds in a sentence and you hear tienes and you're trained on tienes, you pick it up. You have. All right, he's talking about me. I have something. All right. And then you hear tenes. You don't hear the tie. You don't hear that sound that you're triggered by. And you're like, tenes. And then you're like, did it go with one of the words before or after? What was it? And what they're saying is vos tenes. You have. Because they're not saying two tienes, they're saying vos tenes. Most speakers here, if you ask them to use two, they'll stop and think about it. And they'll be, yeah, two tienes. But naturally they're saying vos tenes, but they're not saying vos, because just like two, tenes only has vos in front of it. So they drop the vos. So you're listening to a conversation, blah, 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 tienes comida, blah, 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 blah. Or blah, 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 tenes comida, blah, 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 blah. And you didn't hear you have, so you're like, what did they say? And this happens with every single verb. So anytime they're talking about you, or you're listening to a conversation between people, and they're talking about you being the person they're talking to, you have this slightly skewed verb form that you're not sure how to repeat or use, and you don't naturally hear unless it's the one you've learned. But like Duolingo doesn't teach it, which drives me crazy. And so it should be an option, right? I use this, please teach it to me. So that makes Nicaraguan Spanish much harder to learn because you still have to learn two tienes and the two form of things because everyone else uses it. So, but yeah, the accent is relatively easy. You definitely hear it, but it's not big. I followed a recipe from Costa Rican Gallo Pinto. They use salsa Lizano. Do they use that in Nicaragua? We do, but we use very different amounts of it. Edwin says, in what parts of Leon City a standalone restaurant can open? Scott, either on the main highway passing over the new baseball stadium area near Paseo Real or near the historic center. I mean, really, all of those could potentially. The hardest part about a standalone restaurant, if you mean not connected to light. Okay, so I gotta, for other viewers, Paseo Real is the mall in the north part of the city. When he says the new baseball stadium area, he means the Zona Viva, which is the restaurant zone connected to the baseball stadium, which is brand new. And then the historic center is the obvious historic center of the city. So the historic center has a lot of restaurants near it. Most of them pay very high rent and have been around for a really long time and do okay. El Sesteo being a great example. They're right on the square, but there's tons of stuff near the square. Can do okay, but the rents are high, competition is tough. You got to really make a good restaurant. You got to know what you're doing. In the Zona Viva, you wouldn't consider it standalone if it's in the Zona Viva. So it'd be somewhere near the Zona Viva, and no restaurant has made it down there other than some street stands. So I'm going to guess hard. I don't know where you'd find a spot. I mean, I do kind of, like I've got a couple ideas about what you might be implying or thinking in that area. But if I was going to go there, I would just go to the Zona Viva. I know the rents are high, but the location's pretty nice. And the same thing in Paseo Real. Almost every restaurant I know that tried Paseo Real went out of business quickly without being in Paseo Real. If you're in Paseo Real, they also go out of business really quickly. There's only a Subway and a coffee shop in there. No restaurants. I don't think anyone wants to go to a restaurant in Paseo Real. Near Paseo Real has been pretty rough. There's some things that would be in the general zone, like Jalisco, but they have a gorgeous hotel that they're a part of, and they're not actually in the same zone. They're in the Fatima zone nearby. But the places in the actual Paseo Real zone all died, but mostly they died, as far as we know, because of the 2-year-long road construction that shut down traffic to that zone, so nothing made it. So maybe something can make it up there. I think that's more likely. Less competition, and you're getting in after they've cleaned up and the road is good. I would love to see more restaurants come into the city, but it also makes me sad if they come in, put a bunch of effort in, and then don't make it. So we want a good plan for success if you're going to try to do it. Edwin says, but in 2026, La Curacao Radio Shack burned down, and recently 4 homes and a hotel were burnt. The hotel of the doctor. Yeah, none of those really impact the restaurant business, though. Steve's here. What's up, dude? Silver says, I live in Nica. I like it. My soon-to-be neighbor is learning English in Managua. He travels every Saturday from the Via El Carmen area to a school there. I hate Via El Carmen. That's where everyone gets a speeding ticket. Verbs are tough for me. Reading is tough for me. Verbs are very tough for everyone. They're just hard. No89 says, yes, 2 is not very natural for us. Yeah, you never hear it until someone knows you're a gringo, and then they're like, oh, they don't know Voss. Janet says, so I'll be gone for a while unless my student doesn't have time to talk now. Samantha says, hi, Janet. Larry says the big Tip Top is in Paseo Real. That is correct. I forgot about that. I don't really think of that as a restaurant because it's such its own animal. I like Tip Top as a business. I can't eat it, so I just am told that it's tasty. But every time I'm in there, they have nice air conditioning. It seems like a nice restaurant. It seems like they're doing a good job. They often have playgrounds for the kids. It just feels like a well-done thing. So I tend to be a little bit of a fan just from how it seems that they're doing. Change. I remember going to, this is No 89, I remember going to Paseo Real once. I didn't like it. It felt too far from the center of the city. I'm not Leon local, though. I mean, none of us like it. It really is far away. It's like, I mean, we like that it has stuff we want to go see a little bit, but you know what? It doesn't have a movie theater. It should. Why do we only go downtown for movies? Like, I like the downtown movie theater, and I get that there shouldn't be competition. For me, personally, the downtown movie theater is more convenient than Paseo Real by a bit. But honestly, I kind of would like to go to Paseo Real for the movies. The one that's downtown, Siglo Nuevo, is really nice. They have a very nice theater, very low cost. I wish they had some signage. It's so confusing. And I like their popcorn. They do nachos. They need to do a bigger thing of nachos, but like they do a good nacho thing. They do hot dogs that look good. People seem to like them. Sodas are a good price. And they have an attached Hollywood pizza and Tip Top. So that's pretty nice. Like it's a good experience, and it's right in the middle of town, which is nice. So that stuff I'm happy about, but it just feels like it should be at the mall, right? Why are we using that giant space downtown for a movie theater that doesn't get very much traffic? It seems like we're using something up that should be used. I don't know. I don't know, but it's weird that the mall has nothing like that. Excuse me. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna go get some caffeine here in a second because it's getting late and I need to be awake. But first, hold on, I've got to fix this thing. Checking a few things before I go to get some caffeine. All right, just got to be a minute to get some caffeine. Hopefully my equipment all keeps working. I will be right back. Talk amongst yourselves, ask questions, come up with topics. How you doing, all you dogs? Oh, there's no space for you guys. Okay, I'm here. Sorry for that noise. Here I be. We got 20 people still on. Not too bad. My favorite video is shopping with Jimmy, also Pizza Hut and Paseo Real. That was a good one with the secret camera, shopping at Paseo Real. I'm sure your curtains and shelving units were done by professional architect and designer. They were done by Chepe. Edwin says, not just Leon, as a mall far from downtown Central Park area, Messiah at Paseo Real, Multi-Centro, Esteli, and Esteli City. That's it. It's true. Chinandega, too. Their mall is out on the same highway as Paseo Real, just in our direction instead of theirs or whatever. I mean, typically malls are not downtown. That's how it normally works. Sorry, eating ice. All right, hold on. Okay. Samantha says, I did a Managua run for visa renewal. Straightforward, no issues. Awesome. Why did you bother going to Managua? Why didn't you do it in Leon? Silver says, I went to the Galleria Mall in Managua in May. Could not believe how busy it was. I'm in the Galleria about every 2 weeks. It's very busy. It is the hub of Santo Domingo. Edwin says, the fact that Leon Paseo Real Mall may not be liked by non-Leon people is because of its location, having to go through almost the city area, its landmass, by car if you come from Managua. True, but why would you ever go there if coming from Managua? Like, there's nothing for someone from Managua there. The reason that it's located up there is because anyone who's at Nagarote or East is just going to go to Managua. They're not going to come to Leon. But for the people from Tolica, Chichigalpa, and stuff like that, they're going to come there without going into Leon downtown. Samantha says, Leon sent me there. I overstayed. Oh, you overstayed. Oh, you counted by the month, not the days. Yes. If you overstay at all, you instantly stop Leon from being able to help you. Glad to hear. No 89 says, I often go to the Messiah one, but there's just a few stores. The cinema is worth it. It looked nice. I've never really shopped there, but it's right on the road, so that one you kind of run into. And it says, the cinema is their main strength when Plaza Paseo Messiah was built in 2016. Tony says, I know you said that you can catch a bus in Leon to the Costa Rican border. Where do you go to catch it? It's called Plaza del Sol, I believe it is. Let me try to find it on a map for you guys. Give me a minute. Oh, that didn't work. Okay, hold on. That's better. So if we turn this on, what happens? Nothing. If we do this. Oh, there we go. Okay. So let's try to bring that in a little bit. Bring that in a little bit. And let's bring it up a little bit. All right, that's pretty good. Get rid of that. Okay, okay. Now you guys should be able to see this. So this is downtown Leon. And this is the as we call it, the bypass, the Panamanian bypass, which is a combination of 3 and 12. And then this is the Rio Chiquito, so it crosses there. So this is the lower half of town. This is the higher half of town. And here we go, Pasado del Sol. That's labels over here, but it includes this area. That's the Yazaki plant. And if we go to satellite, I believe, no, maybe not. Shoot. Right along here is a gas station, and that's where you go to. All right, let's see if we can find the Nika Espresso office. Oh, yeah, I'm off a little bit. It's south of the Izaki plant, not north of it. I was one building off there, one block off. Okay, so this Petronik is the spot that you get dropped off. And this street right here, hopefully you can see my mouse, where it says Nika Espresso, is where they pick you up. So literally, this is the office where you get the bus tickets. And it's the craziest thing. You go, they're closed until you think you should have already been picked up, and then they open, and you buy a ticket, and then you get right on the bus. And you can see that they're called Posada del Sol is their address for Nika Espresso. So that is the right thing. So the buses just pull up in this little street, and there's a few people selling street food in this little grassy area. And then there's this big Petronik on the other side. So as the northbound bus comes in, it just pulls in here and drops you off. So this is where your taxis will pick you up at the end of a trip. And in here you can wait and you can stand like under these trees, and the bus will pull up and you can load up there and go. And then the bus is coming in from Chinandega from the north. So it's coming down through here, stops in here, and then continues on. And then when it comes home, it just stops in here. So that is how you do it, and where you do it. So it's a little bit of words, at least for Nika Espresso. That's the one that I use for going to Costa Rica. Other people could use other ones, and then their pickups could be in different places. But all the times that I've talked about it, shown it, that's the one I'm doing. And it says Chinandega's Mall, Centro Plaza Occidente, is another story because it's right at the city's main entrance, coming from Managua and Leon. It has Ferro's Casino, De Todo, Little Caesars, Tienda Nova, etc. Yeah, so okay, so let's jump over. And let's get out of satellite view, if I can remember how to do that. Go. All right. So in Leon, the highway comes in and splits to the bypass, but if you don't split to the bypass and come in on Palacio, this is our Paseo Real. So when he says it's outside the city, that's not actually that true. Outside the city would be above San Jeronimo or below or around Villa Castelleon here. Everything in here is the main city. And this is the road bypassing downtown. Paseo Real is actually, so this is the top street of downtown, is a 10-minute walk outside of downtown. It only feels like you're bypassing downtown because you tend to come up on the highway and come over to it. but it's actually in the city pretty heavily. Reparto Fatima, where a lot of people live, a lot of expats live, is north of it. This is some of the barrios that I really like are up in this area, Fonseca over here, for example. I've looked at a lot of houses recently up in here, so it's well within the city. And then when you consider that the city really comes out to about here, and then if we go up, so this is Talica that we talked about. And we continue up the highway. This is Chichigalpa, where Flor de Caña is, and we're coming into Chinandega. So first of all, notice the difference in size, Chinandega to Leon. It's a lot smaller. And so if you were to have the equivalent of Leon to be near downtown, it would be well within here, right? It would be in this little tiny area right here. But if we zoom in, it's actually somewhere right around here. Right there. So it's right before the circle, and a lot of people associate this rotunda with the middle of Chinandega, but it's actually the outside bypass, right? So if you were to go the same distance from the Chinandega bypass that you go from the Leon bypass to Paseo Real, it would put you in dead downtown Chinandega. Now, it is true that it's within Chinandega, like you're coming up on 12 and 3 here, and you end up hitting the mall well inside this part of the sprawl of the city. So it's in the city, and this circle is a very popular area, and this is the road going to Corinto. And like this area over here around Montserrat, very, very nice. But yeah, it's. I would actually argue that Leon's mall is dramatically more inside the city than Chinandega is. Because if you were to do the same, right, it would be, Leon would have to have its mall right around here to be the same out of the city, but it's all the way in here, like basically right in the tourist center. Tony says, thank you. Someone says, is the Chinandega area a nice locale? No. Generally, people hate Chinandega. All right, let's look at it a little bit. So a couple things about Chinandega. One is it's really far away from everything. So its location is not very popular. And it is the hottest city in Latin America. That's not a big draw. That said, I do not find downtown to be very nice, and El Calvario is a massive barrio that is definitely not very nice. To me, Chinandega feels much poorer and run down compared to Leon, but it's not colonial, so it has no excuse for it, which is not great. This stretch out here is pretty nice, and Barrio Montserrat is beautiful, including this very eastern edge of El Calvario. Along this part of the bypass is fantastic. I really like it a lot. But it's a relatively small area and very expensive. Loads of nice restaurants. We'll zoom in here. I don't know the Santa... Oh, no, I do know the Santa Ana. Like, this is a nice spot. This is a really beautiful hotel. There's a really cool museum back here that we did on an episode. Ferrillones is really nice. There's all kinds of nice stuff. Like nice restaurants along here. This area is great. Entra. This is Dragonfly, one of my favorite places in the country. Like this is really nice. Donde Nando is known to be really good. I don't eat there, but everyone tells I've been there. Everybody tells it's nice. Deli Pan, good reputation. Really good gyms up here. Shopping. You have a lot. Right, so in that one limited area, you have like a really good experience in Chinandega, and if you want to drop a lot of money, because Chinandega is the richest city in the country, if you want to drop a lot of money there, you can do so and live well and have some nice stuff. But if you're going to live in Chinandega the way you would normally live in a Nicaraguan city, I think you would generally be like, I don't like this. Some people, it might work for. It's very flat. I do like some of its downtown parks. It's not 100% negative by any stretch. But it's a tough one to pick. It really is. Unless you're in that little eastern zone. And then it is quite nice. and its distance to beaches is rough. Now check Esteli, and it's multi-central, and compared to Matagalpa, it doesn't have one, which many Nicaraguans debate that is a top city area of northern Nicaragua. Yeah, so definitely, for me, the vibe of Esteli is very much like Chinandega. Like, you can make it work, but it's kind of... Whereas Matagalpa, I find, has tons of character, and one of the nice things about it, it doesn't have a mall. Matagalpa really has managed to create its own city that's just so different than everywhere else. I like that a lot, right? And Esteli is a cool city, and when I walk it, I like it. But when I was there, and every time I describe it to people, it feels like it and Chinandega are like twin cities. One is super hot, and one is in the mountains. Both of them sit on the highway. Esteli is the hub city on the Pan American, and Chinandega is the hub city on the Pan American bypass. Esteli's claim to fame is it's the connector to Tegucigalpa, the capital of Honduras, and Chinandega is that it's the connector to Corinto, the port. So, of the two, I would probably pick Esteli because of the weather. But they both have a very similar vibe. Like, as you walk around the city, loads of the city feels really run down, and the expensive parts are really nice and quite expensive. Which, for me, is a bad combination. I don't like the oil and water thing. I don't like the really expensive to get something decent. I don't like having everyone have to be super poor in order to have that. I don't know if that's true, but Matagalpa feels much more integrated. It's got it's kind of its own vibe that I like a lot. It's connected with Jinotega, which I like. I love its surrounding areas so much. I love that they've really incorporated the hillsides into the city, not just the views of the hills into the city and things like that. Larry says, my buddy Silvio lives in Montserrat. He has a 500-acre sugarcane farm. Nice home. Yeah, 500 acres in Montserrat. I bet he has a nice home. Does he want to film it for Central American Living? Let's go film that. That would be so cool to see. Cool. Joe Miles. Hey man, I'm in Matagalpa. Only took 2 hours to sign in. Looking forward to meeting you in Leon. Only 2 hours to sign in. It took me 6 hours to get it to fire up. So, glad you're here. I just noticed on the Expats group, we were talking about, I now have, a lot of you know I use NVO's Fast Track, which not everyone has had great luck with. They've been very good for me. Terrible for Luke, so your mileage can vary. But for me, they've been absolutely fantastic, and I do have a delivery in Managua that I need to go get. I'd really like to head to Managua and eat some Managua food sometime soon. I haven't done that in a little bit. In a hot minute. But they now have shipping through China, the same as they do through the U.S., and now that we've had so many problems with shipping through the U.S. and so much cost increase, being able to get direct from China will be a game changer. I've not ordered yet, but I plan to, and I will let you guys know what we think of it. Hey man, I'm in. No, I already said that. I have a Nika number. How do we exchange numbers? Can I just put mine on here? It's not permanent. So one, no. YouTube will never allow anything that looks like a phone number. Two, nobody uses phone numbers in Nicaragua. Anyone, for anything. Someone's going to jump on and be like, I know someone who uses one. Someone's grandmother still does it. Just use WhatsApp. Always use WhatsApp. Never try to use a phone number. Never text. Never dial a number. That should be true everywhere in the world. It is not quite. But do not try to use, like that you have a local number is irrelevant. The reason you want a local number, the reason you have it, is because you need data. And data comes with a number. The number is irrelevant. What matters is your data. It should be the same WhatsApp that you had from back home. Just because you get a number here does not alter your WhatsApp. My WhatsApp is still my US number. So if you were you've been WhatsApping me, haven't you, Joe? Nothing will change, right? It's still the same WhatsApp. That's the beauty of WhatsApp. It eliminates all that caring about numbers things. Larry said something about the farm, and it's gone. Even with this really late start, we are coming up on 200 views in just over an hour. That's fantastic. Well, I really appreciate you guys hopping in here and making the show actually happen on a super late, very stressful Thursday night when I'm crazy tired and burned out and needing a break. I really appreciate that. Right, I've got to do a quick task here. Hopefully this is very fast. Silver says, wait. Wesley says, you talked about texting in one of your videos. In April, I was in Costa Rica. I have a Verizon account back home. When I first arrived, they asked me if I wanted to use the $12.50 a day international. Oh, yeah. First rule of using phones, drop Verizon. Get to T-Mobile as fast as you can for so many reasons. Yeah. And that Verizon, it isn't even reliable. And it's 100% unnecessary cost. T-Mobile will save you money on the base plan. All the international is free. Joe says, I don't have WhatsApp. Used it once like 4 phones ago. Okay, everyone, make sure you never leave the United States without WhatsApp in use for long enough that you are comfortable with it before you go. 100% of the world outside of the United States lives by WhatsApp. Not having WhatsApp is the same as not having a phone. There's no way to contact anyone. Nobody has a way to receive phone calls reliably. Nobody has ways to receive text reliably. WhatsApp is the universal thing. I had this conversation. So one of my travel advisors, one of those people who taught me how to travel, was Maggie, who I'm going to put on the show soon. And she taught me in 2015 that I was crazy that I didn't have WhatsApp, and made me get it and made me use it, and I've never stopped. And I hate WhatsApp, and everyone hates WhatsApp, but it is the universal tool that everyone uses. Without it, you are unreachable. So make sure anyone who's thinking about traveling that you get WhatsApp on your devices, have an account that everyone knows, and you are comfortable using it. Make sure you know how to send a voice message. Make sure you know how to send a picture. Make sure you know how to send a live location and a non-live location. Other things, sending GIFs and things like that, they don't matter. But those tasks are crazy important. You must have them down. And it's at this point, even my companies in the United States refuse to, like, we fired a guy last night. He wouldn't get on WhatsApp, and we're like, we're not going to text you. Like, and he put up we're like, yeah, and you're done. Like, that was it. It was not the only thing of the night that got him fired, but it was listed in one of the items that we fired him over. We literally called the office in Los Angeles, and we're like, he's locked out. And then they called and rejected his badge. But that was one of the things. We're like, we're all on WhatsApp. He's not employable because he couldn't talk to the staff. There was no way to reach him. Because we're like, no one's going to go find a text number. Some of the people are able to call him. Some of the people are able to text him. No one is willing to use their personal devices for this. We don't supply devices for this. It's super expensive, and there's no reason to. He needs to be on WhatsApp. And that's purely within the U.S. Wait. 2 hours, I have a unique number. Steve says, in the U.S., I thought we assume only scammers use WhatsApp. I would say only scammers anywhere in the world use text. Never trust text. Text was a scam thing when it first came out. Like, it was, they got people's grandparents in on a scam to charge millennials if they literally extorted them through their grandparents. Like, the scam was real. Yeah, if you don't, even in the U.S., if you're not on WhatsApp, something's going on. No 89. What store will you be buying from China, though? So I've got a number. Suri is someone that I shop through. They make this. This is a Suri. This is my broken one. I'd really like to get fixed. My fault. I broke it. I buy stuff from Suri. I want to use AliExpress and try that out. I was about to have an order done, but we didn't end up doing it because something got released in the U.S., so I don't need to. I don't know the name of the company. But it's a manufacturer. In many cases, it's going direct from manufacturers. That's the cool thing, is that you can often, in the U.S., everything is coming through a store. But in China, a lot of things come directly from the manufacturers. So not only are you cutting out extra logistics, you're also cutting out extra unnecessary resellers. We live in an era where you don't need resellers for most things. There's no purpose to them. We're just so used to them, and they make so much money. They often double the price of goods. Maybe Amazon doesn't, but maybe Amazon does, right? In a lot of cases, you may be paying double than what is necessary for the same thing. Just order directly from China, get it from the manufacturer, and cut out the people who aren't adding any value. And that's the funny thing. This is where the United States is really going to suffer in the world market. They have made, when you go out and you talk about like industries and stuff, it's like you have a guy who makes furniture by hand, right? Goes out and carves furniture, does all this stuff, makes a beautiful piece. And you say, well, how long did that take you? Oh, that took me a week. Okay, wow. So your time's worth, I don't know, $100 a day. So $500 plus materials, $1,000, right? And you'd be like, cool. And but if you sell that through a store, the store is going to go, but we need to exist. We don't need to know how to carve. We don't need to be artists. We don't need to convince you to buy the chair. We don't need to do anything. We're going to buy it from him for $1,000. We're going to sell it to you for $2,000. We're providing the showroom, right? And I'm not saying that they have zero value, but in most cases they have negative value, right? It's not just that they don't add anything to the equation. Sometimes they actually take it away, right? Because you have to deal with a salesman who doesn't know anything about the product and is in your way and making you pissed. But so they may make $1,000 for doing nothing. And we hate that, right? That's where you get the small business used car salesman feeling in a lot of things. And I think people get really turned off from their experiences with business people because so many of them are these middle resellers, right? They just do nothing. And we tell people, you want to start a business, you want to be your own boss, just find a product, you go buy it, and then sell it to someone else at a higher price. Right? Your entire job, all of it, is to shop and convince other people not to shop well. I'm oversimplifying, but you get the point that it's a ridiculous situation. To you get to sit at home, and this is what my niece does, right? She started her own resale store. She goes out and buys little plastic things, and then just runs a type of retail store that does this live video thing. Now she puts in a bunch of effort, packages things, but people spend, I don't know, 50 times the value of the product to get it that way. Like, it's a great business plan, right? Making money based on people not knowing how to buy the stuff direct, or just being too lazy, or just having fun with buying it in a completely ridiculous way. Okay, right? And they've even said, because she's done this for years, that bigger for customer satisfaction than delivering a good product or giving them a good price is putting in a cool free sticker that comes with every sale. What? The thing that cost a tenth of a penny is the thing that people will spend $50 on? Like, yep, that sure is. People are bad at shopping. Like, they just are. So there's a reason that people take advantage of it and it makes money, but it's also super depressing that you have all these people making money on a thing that no one should be making money on just because people don't know how to shop. And so the United States has really become broadly the world's middleman, the country that adds no value but is always in the way, makes every transaction expensive and worse, makes them take longer because you have to go through this extra layer and so forth. And I think they're going to be cut out increasingly as direct sales from, oh my gosh, my leg itches so much. We had so many mosquitoes around us tonight. Oh, I am in physical pain from the amount of mosquitoes. And as places like China and Vietnam figure out how easy it could be to sell directly to the world, they're going to, right? The Amazon model has taught people how to shop online, and now being able to shop direct. And Amazon has become so crappy. Why would you ever shop there? They don't filter anything. They go out of their way to give you crap. The experience is terrible. Everything about it is painful. It's unpleasant. It's not a nice company. You don't want to support them. So why? Don't. Go shop directly, get lower prices. Yay! So that is, I think, how Nicaragua is going to head. Just because we're a market where it doesn't even make any sense not to do that. Like, people are cost conscious, and suddenly getting access to get things very, very cheaply drives a lot of decision making. It becomes, well, if I shop direct, I can get this thing for half the price in half the time, or I can't afford to do the alternative. What are you going to do, right? All right. Larry says, friend lives in Montserrat. His farm is in another area. He sells all the sugar cane to Florida Cana. Joe says, I don't have WhatsApp easily. Oh, we already said that. I'll look it up after the show. Wesley says, you talked about texting. Oh, nope, already said that. Silver says, I've been stressed, leaving my home of 63 years, coming to Nicaragua with my new life as an expat. Wow, 63 years in the same house, or just like the same community? Wow. My longest, I think, I moved away from the family farm when I was 18. Moved away, and I moved to Michigan. I came back after a few years, lived, so I left in 94, came back in 97, and then left again in 2000. But I didn't go back home. I just lived in my home city, which was about an hour from where I grew up. And that's a little bit oversimplifying, but that kind of, so I did 18 years in one area, and then 2 years, and then 3 to 4 years up in the city. And then I moved for a little while to Pittsburgh, and then really I moved to Ithaca, which was not super far away. And I put in another 3 years there. That's where I met my wife. And then my wife and I moved back home because my mom was sick. But we only got back for a few months before she passed. But we ended up keep living in that house for 2 years, 3 years. I think we made it 3 years in that house, and then we moved to New York City and put in several years there, and then moved to Texas. So that 18 years, yeah, that's nothing that comes close to 63 years, that's for sure. Well, that is wild. That would be stressful. That's a lot to change. Because I'm very glad that I've lived at least around the U.S. in little different communities. Because like where I grew up on the farm, to living in Flint, Michigan, to living in Ithaca, New York, to living in Pittsburgh, to Washington, D.C., each of those places was so different from the others that it felt like a whole new world. Wesley says, I did not respond. For fun, I tried to text someone and it wouldn't go through. It said I had no money in the account. When I got back home, my phone is not working. I'm on a monthly plan. Texting is very complicated here, and there's a reason why we phased it out, because it just doesn't work. I did not respond. For fun, I tried to text someone and it wouldn't go through. Wesley says, my phone would not work when I got back. They charged me for that text, and I did not have enough money for my monthly phone service. So if you tried to text, so part of the problem is, well, it depends. There shouldn't be monthly phone service. That's not a thing here. And there kind of is. But what you really want to be on is the 15-day mega pack. It's the only thing that makes sense in this country. Unless you're only here for 5 days, then a 5-day plan. But the 15-day pay-ahead plan is the one and only reasonable thing. Everything less than it is way more expensive. Everything longer than it, way more expensive. It's just the magic number. Everyone who lives here knows, so that's why I say it on my videos. Just get that. Look at nothing else. Both Tigo and Claro, it is the same plan with the same details and the same price, within a couple pennies. But so one of the things is, here, texting, you have to know who you're texting, because texts are not universal. They're also not universal in the U.S. In the U.S., you're paying for a whole bunch of things you don't realize. It's bundled in other places. It's why your prices are so high. Here, your prices will go through the roof if you try to start texting. That is not something to play around with. Don't do it. Absolutely. I've never received. I've been here for 11 years. I've never gotten a text. Right? Don't play around with it. It is not a game. He says, they scammed me. I had to go to Verizon store to pay for that. Oh, Verizon scammed you. Yeah, definitely. Oh, yes. No. Never do business with Verizon, and definitely never travel with a Verizon phone. Yeah. The videos on WhatsApp are great. It's like you're really there. I try to get everyone back home to get WhatsApp so I could talk to them while traveling. Also, thing that works when you're traveling is Apple messages and stuff. That actually does work. You have to be a little bit more knowledgeable because they try to trick you in some weird ways, but when it's actually Apple Messenger, it works. But yeah, WhatsApp is just fantastic from that perspective. But, Telegram does a better job, but it's full of scammers that they promote to make money. Signal is better. Matrix is better. Tony says, how do you find a reliable attorney here? A little bit hard, just because people who are high visibility are generally where you're going to have problems, and expats make terrible references. So typically you want to be in a place where you're going to be, right? So you're in Leon, you're going to decide to live here, you're going to want to talk to some locals, get some recommendations, and then go to the government website that lists them, make sure that they're real. I would make an effort to avoid anyone that speaks English. I would make a huge effort to avoid anyone with a website or advertising to you. You want someone who you get along with, that speaks well, that is a real attorney, that is registered, that someone has given you a reference for. I know that's not great, but honestly, if you're trying to do the same thing in the U.S., what would you do? Right? The exact same process. It just, in the U.S., it doesn't feel scary because everyone has a lawyer, right? If I'm in the U.S., and I don't know anything about a lawyer, because I have lawyers, obviously, in the U.S., so the last time I needed a new lawyer, I just called my accountant. Oh, I have this accounting thing. That's why I called her. And I need a lawyer. She's like, got you. Gives me a name. Guy was great. Anthony. And before that, it was some other things like, oh, we need to incorporate in Texas. Let's talk to our contacts in Texas. They gave us a lawyer, Dave. He was great. Took care of that. You always know someone who has a lawyer they've used and they're happy with. Here, if you live here, you're going to have the same experience. But if you don't live here, you're going to have the experience of, I don't have any idea where to go. It's not that there aren't the same processes to finding a lawyer. It's that you don't have the social network that is assumed in your home country. That's why it seems difficult. And because there aren't very many expats, there's no alternative system that has cropped up because the need is too small. Lenise says, would you mind mapping out the significant neighborhoods of Matagalpa in relation to the town center on a map like you did with Chinandega? I can try a little bit. I am not great because I live by Chinandega, right? And Matagalpa is a ways away. I've had a lot more time in Chinandega, and it's a lot smaller and simpler. Let me see if I can bring up the map again. It was so far out. I gotta find Matagalpa. All right, here we go. So Matagalpa, coming in from this part of town, I love that it's the Texas down here. This is a pretty rough area. You wouldn't want to live in here, I don't think. This is water treatment. Along the highway, there's some cool stuff, but like you wouldn't want to really get off the highway. This is right here, somewhere right here is where I stayed the first time that I stayed in Matagalpa. Some of this is kind of cool, but this is deep mountains, like crazy mountains. So it's barrio, but really cool, but very hard to like actually use. So neat, and I kind of like how it goes around this mountain. Like it gives some nice views. A lot of this has views of the cities, but it's a very poor area. This is downtown. Hopefully you can see my mouse. I'm trying to. And downtown actually gets kind of long. It comes along here. Unan is on the side. I think it's fair. Yeah, okay, fair. That's why I'm like, that name doesn't seem right. I don't know much about the far out suburbs down here. Stuff going up into the hills here. This is not suburbs. This is really outside the city, but that can get really nice. But along here can be okay. This area is really nice. My old office was right around here. I think it was right here. I think. Might have been right here. It's been quite a while, but my company used to have offices here for a long time. But there's a lot of lively downtown. Matagalpa was really good for that. I really like, actually, the northern portion here. Again, not really expensive. A lot of this is quite affordable. And right up in this area is where Luke lives, right? And then as you come out of the city, you get some neat stuff. I actually like, no, it must be this. Yeah, this area, like up here, I like this a lot. I expect this is really nice all through here. They're a little bit up in the hills, a little bit outside the city, but so close. You get a lot of really nice, you got the nice hospital here. That's definitely handy to have nearby. Let me see if I can find the, oop, did not mean to click on that. So when I walk through the city, I always end up in the same spot, but where is that? The listing of the neighborhoods here is very poor. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna be able to come up with the names and stuff. And like this area, I don't know well. This is probably a pretty decent area, given the construction, the location, that kind of stuff. But unfortunately, I just don't know Matagalpa as well as Chinandega, and I don't think it's as easy to know. Like it's a much more complicated city with a lot of different, like neat neighborhoods and difficult spots and terrain. Whereas Chinandega is just a big flat circle with a road going around it. Oh. Silver says, should have said home state of Oregon, 4 different locations in the state. Okay, not quite as crazy. Joe Miles, how many Oregonians are here right now? 1 equals yes. Okay, Joe's 1, 2, yes. Corvallis, yes, I'm from Oregon. Janet, so I'm back. Janet says, I'm originally from Portland. My mom was born in Tillamook, and my dad was born in Oregon City. But honestly, I've lived south of Milwaukee in Clackamas County. Joe says, South Coast here. Matagalpa is growing on me. Staying at a hostel right across the street. There's a 24-hour casket sales store. Well, I'm going to ask if they're made in Nicaragua tomorrow and then visit San Ramon about 15 minutes away. Then head to Hinotega. People like San Ramon quite a lot. Small place, but really nice. Wesley says, what kind of a lawyer do you use? I know a woman in Managua. Her brother is a corporate lawyer. What kind of lawyer do you use? I actually have several lawyers here. I have a corporate attorney that I use daily, or whatever, regularly, for day-to-day tasks. That's what I meant to say. And I keep a prosecuting attorney because sometimes people piss you off. It's good to have. I had some corporate attorneys in the past that I could always call on, but mostly just a corporate attorney and a prosecuting attorney. I feel like we have someone else for something. You often, if you're going to do your tramite, your process for residency or whatever, you're going to have a lawyer for that, which I did have a lawyer for it in the past. I have to have a new one in the future for a very specific task that I have to have done. But so having like 3, quite common. And that's not based on location. If you're all over the country, you might have different ones in different places. Like if you're in Bluefields and out in Leon, you're probably going to want one in each region just because it's a lot. It gets very difficult going between. If you're just in Leon and Managua, no, you're not. The lawyers go back and forth every day. Caskets. I bet they were made here. A casket building place opened next door to our old house in La Barrio during the pandemic. Joe says, hey, Janet, thanks for saving the day last week. Lol, oh no, I don't remember last week. I don't either, but you're welcome. Lenise says, thanks for mapping. You're most welcome. Wesley says, what city is Immense Coffee nearest? The coffee is in the middle of nowhere, but he lives in Ocotal. Don Timoteo, I'm from Corvallis. I am not in Nicaragua today, though. What the heck? Where'd you go? Did that really fix things? It did. Nice. Sorry, got a little bit distracted, a little bit of work done. The birthday cake episode. What was the birthday cake episode? I don't even remember my own episodes. Idaho. Ah, wow. Oh. So sorry. I am probably going to Belize sometime soon, which will be fun because I get to hang out in Panama on the way, which I love Panama. And you guys tend to like my videos in Belize, so would be nice. Hopefully sometime soon. I'm actually working on getting a part-time travel and video partner that's going to do some stuff with me. We'll see. Getting me out of the house and stuff is difficult these days. My work, I'm working right now as we're doing this, right? Like, my work has become overwhelming and exhausting. Not always for bad reasons or anything. Sometimes it's because there's just great work coming in or cool projects going on, and I love that stuff. So I'm not really complaining, but it is also exhausting and impacting some things that I love to do, like getting out and walking and filming lots of parts of the city and stuff. For you guys, I really like doing that, and for myself included. It would be nice if I was able to do that. Nika Flow 89. Sup, Scott? Hope all is well. Been about 2 months since the move here. Big learning curve from paying water to the skyrocketing electric bill. But that's the price of comfort in wanting AC throughout the home. They induce the missus tomorrow. Should be an interesting 18 years. Congratulations! Wow, that's awesome. Oh, so cool. My eldest is going to be 18 in November, coming up really, really soon. And I can't believe that particular journey is over. I mean, my youngest is still around for a few more years, but my first baby is going to be an adult in, I mean, what is that? 14 weeks? Like, oh my gosh, that is... Oh, now I'm sad. Like, I was sad enough that our cat died today, but the era of having 2 children is coming to an end. Your first child is an adult. Like, wow. It really is true that the time flies so quickly. It's like, well, but we didn't do this thing, we didn't do that thing, and we were planning on doing this, and how the heck did the era of her being a baby disappear? How did her elementary years disappear? How did middle school disappear? How did high school disappear? I mean, we were going out to do a photo shoot that we never actually did for her quince, right? It felt like just the other day. It's 3 years, right? Just gone. Wow. That is, yes. So Janet did go do a birthday cake, and that went really well. So I guess I didn't talk to you guys since then because that was 1 week ago. Today, that was for Marilyn, and she was very much crying when I got there. The cake was fantastic. She loved it. Yeah, everything worked out great. Janet ran to the grocery store, La Colonia, and picked up this beautiful small cake, and I ran over to her house and picked it up, and then I went to Ava and Marilyn's house. Ava's the older sister of Marilyn. It was her birthday, and Ava hid the whole thing from her, but was like, oh, there's someone at the door, and she came to the door, and I do know that years ago, the first birthday cake that Ava ever got, Ava's 30, was from me. So somewhere around her 27th birthday, I got her a birthday cake, and she had never had a birthday cake before. So it was like a really big thing. And so Marilyn, being quite a bit younger, it's possible she's never had a birthday cake of her own before. Probably not true. She probably has, but that she doesn't get them every year, certainly a possibility. So it was a really big thing, and she was very, very thankful. It was quite good. And says it took 2 minutes to fast walk over there. It's amazing, these little things, little moments make such a difference. Oh, sorry guys. I just have to walk to the other side of the camera and plug in a hard drive. If I can find it. Oh, there it is. Something beeped at me as I did that. What was beeping? Yes. Have you watched or met the guy straight out of camera? No, I don't know who Straight Out of Camera is. I may have seen that. I like I do straight out of camera photography, so I know that term, but I don't know who that is. He's an indigenous Nicaraguan that moved from L.A. He lives in Leon. Ah, no, I don't know him. Joe says you're number one, Janet. Now you guys are quiet. We still got 18 people on, 259 views. This is great. We're doing really well. I mean, this would not be a busy night, but it's amazing considering how late we started it. Yeah, 20 people on now. Hey, everybody. Oh, by the way, please remember to give a thumbs up on the show. That helps promote it, gets the word out there, lets people know that you like the show. And of course, share a link on social media. That helps too. All kinds of things. All sorts of stuff. Glad I got this caffeine, though. I was dragging. So I'm feeling a little bit better now. So some of you know that I do a lot of photography, and I used to use Flickr for a long time, and they pissed me off to no end. Really annoyed that I put in so much work and used them for so long, and they just suspended my account without any explanation. Nothing, absolutely nothing. Just no. We have your money. Screw you. And I'm like, this is very the American business model these days. Get the money, get people addicted to the platform, and then put them in a situation where they can't use the platform, but they kind of have to keep paying you for some reason. Like it's a really bad combination of things. I'm very pissed off at Flickr, and I know that kind of their intent is that you're going to reach out to them and maybe pay some money to make the problem go away or whatever. Well, I'm effing not doing that. So I'm in the process of writing my own replacement for Flickr and moving all 60,000 photos over. I had generated 135 million views for Flickr. I promoted them for 25 years or something, and they treat me like absolute shit. I'm just like, no. So I'm in the middle of doing this. My staff used to use my Flickr account to get a lot of material. A lot of my photos have been used commercially for things or whatever. So it's a useful resource, and I'm working on trying to get that replaced and enhanced. I want to actually have something better rather than worse. And honestly, Flickr wasn't super fast. It was definitely not super cheap. It didn't have a whole freaking lot to offer. So I'm looking at really enhancing that and seeing where that goes. So that's a cool project that satisfies an itch for me. For sure, for those who are into photography and are looking for something that is actually a good way to share or consume experiences in Nicaragua, I recommend checking out nicagram.com. We haven't talked about that for a while. Go hit that up and post pictures, make an account, and add pictures and take us through a photo journey of your experience in Nicaragua and elsewhere. It's appreciated. How do you thumbs up likes on a phone? I honestly don't know. You can, I just don't know how. Wesley says, I thought you were going for caffeinated coffee. Sounds like you're chewing. I don't think it's coffee you're drinking. No. This is this is Coke Zero with ice in it. I always chew ice. Good for your teeth. It's not actually why I chew it. I chew it because I'm addicted to chewing ice. But it is good for your teeth, so there's an upside. I've actually had a number of problems with Nicagram, the underlying platform, PixelFed, for a while. It has crossed my mind to replace that as well. Probably shouldn't. That's probably obnoxious in a lot of ways, but they've kind of given up on it, and it was a really important thing, so I'm not really sure. Maybe it's the way to go. Joe, you have to X out of comments, and you'll see the arrow. Ah, there you go. Diego made it. Hello, Diego was complaining many hours ago that I was not on the live stream already while I was in the car driving. Had to take someone from Fundesi to the beach by way of Sutiava through the grocery store. This itch. And then had to go to multiple places on the beach, drop people off, move things around, get them settled in. Joe says, nice, thank you, Wesley. All right, we got another thumbs up on here. Woohoo! Diego, since you just got on, remember to give a thumbs up. We're just coming up on 2 hours here. Not bad with 267 views. That is fantastic. One of these days, I want to get on and do 10 hours and see if we can get over 1,000 views all at once. That'd be cool. I also just need a day when we could possibly do that. It has just been too much recently. So once I get my Flickr replacement with my 60,000 photos up and working, I will let you guys know about it so you can go check it out. I don't know why I don't get notified of your live streams no more. Yeah, I don't know. David says, what's the most common online income you see in nomads? I don't know if I see anybody with the same income as anyone else. Like, for real. It's not a thing. Like, this is why I talk about it's so individual, because it's so individual to the point where those of us who do it, none of us at all overlap. Everybody, like, I know one person who does roofing. I know one person who does fitness. I know a person who does accounting. I know a person who does management. I know a person who does, I know a CEO. I know engineers. I know programmers. I know writers. I know ISO certification specialists. I know thermodynamic engineers, English teacher on the show. Spanish teacher, uh, travel advisor. Let me think. Like, oh, nomads. So he's using an unofficial shortening of a already slang term. Digital nomad refers to people, and it's official enough that like Costa Rica, that's the name of the visa for working. But yeah, in English, there's no other normal use of the word nomad, even though it is a completely normal word. No one uses it. We only use it in reference to the nomadic people of the Central Asian steppe when talking about history, or to digital nomads. That's it. So you can use it as a slang because only one of those are you going to run into. Yeah, you have to actively go to my channel. That's so weird. It might, I don't know. You have the bell selected? But yeah, definitely of the digital nomads that I know, or just expats working in Japan, it's so individual. Oh, I know someone who does home loan termination, or like they finish home loans. I know someone who does credit, like credit improvement type stuff. I know people who do music therapy. I know therapists. I know veterinarians, secretaries, of course, call center people. Like, I literally know as many different jobs as I know people who do it. Right? It really is that way. It's so little overlap. Two people on, getting a few more. Poco a poco. So I did have one of my. So I did this to Diego a few months ago. He said, I think it was while I was in New York. He had sent me a note because Diego and I talk offline, and he's like, "I've never heard you speak Spanish. Do you speak Spanish?" And then I was speaking in Spanish to him, which of course my Spanish is not very good, but I do speak Spanish. It's enough to say I speak Spanish. And he was like, "Whoa, oh, you speak Spanish?" I didn't realize at all that you speak Spanish, because obviously the show is completely English. Why would I go into Spanish? And so it was a funny moment. But I have a friend of a really long time, and she's a native Spanish speaker, but she speaks English fluently to the point where she used to be an American English speaker when we were young, and now she speaks. Now she speaks with a British accent, like it's so funny, and with British like stylings. It's like she's on EastEnders. It's very funny how it's changed, because she used to sound like maybe an Indiana accent with this very Latin American underlying thing going on. So it's like what? But she's never heard me speak Spanish, which blows my mind because it's one of my best friends. We talk all the time, and so we were chatting about something, and I just sent a message in Spanish, like a long message in Spanish, completely in Spanish, and just pienso que es importante para hablo en español porque mucho tiempo juntos y nunca estoy hablando en español. Y no es justo porque siempre estás hablando en inglés para mí, y es una situación diferente cuando solo es tuyo, whatever. So I'm going on, and I just go on for a long time, and she sent me back this thing. She's like, me encanta. She's like, you've always said, you order food in Spanish, and like you'll answer a question in Spanish, but it's never more than a sentence. And she's like, I honestly had no idea you could carry on a conversation, like just have a conversation in Spanish. And so it was very funny. Awesome, more options. Oh, Little late, haha, thumbs up. David says, awesome, more options. Asia is super hard to work online, I hear. It really depends where you're going. Oh, time zone. Yes. I mean, obviously. So I've done a bunch of talking about why we chose Nicaragua and the fact that we own and work with companies in the U.S. One of the things we say a lot is I used to live in Europe. The time zone stuff really sucks. It's difficult to know what's going on. It's difficult to coordinate. It's difficult to make your life make sense. And so that time zone thing is a major negative in many cases. So it's a big factor. Also, your telephones don't work as well. Like everything is not quite as good when you're really far away. Nicaragua is on a U.S. time zone. Right now it's the same as Mountain Time. Sometimes it's the same as Central Time. That puts you right into the middle of the U.S. So you have direct fiber connections to Miami. It looks like you're just in another state. Everything works. Everything's cheap. Everything's close. And if you need to get there on a flight, it's very easy. So Asia is pretty good for being able to work and has loads of workers. But if you're working for the United States, yeah, it's a difficult location. Diego says, you have traveled the world. Let's say I want to go across Europe and live tourism for 2 years. How much would that cost a month? The amount that depends on your lifestyle and whether you want to be in North or South Europe is so... Diego says, now that you're talking about that, I'm realizing you've never heard my voice. That is actually true. So you've heard me speak Spanish. I've never heard you speak. Funny. David says, my living girlfriend is from Lima. Awesome. Cool city. I really want to spend time there. And it's so easy from here. I just need to. How much would that cost a month? Well, I did it with a family of 4. And obviously, if you're staying in hostels or hotels versus getting an apartment, because we would rent for long periods of time to get prices down, and we would sometimes rent a car for transportation and stuff, and we would cook at home, right? We didn't go out to eat all the time, but certainly we did go out to eat. Like, we enjoy restaurants, and it's important to get to know a place. I feel like with a family of 4 doing it when we did, we were probably able to live on probably around $3,000 a month. We would pay like $1,000 a month in rent. Obviously, it varies a ton. Food is the biggest part of the budget. Transportation matters. I want fun Europe, so south. You know, for Americans, most of them consider the north to be where they're interested. Germany, Netherlands, the Nordic countries, England, Denmark, Belgium, maybe France, but always Paris, the north part, right? Areas that for Americans are all dramatically north of the U.S. border, right? Things that are in line with like northern Quebec. But yeah, having lived in Europe, right? If you were like, here's all your choices, there's things I like about Germany. Don't get me wrong. Things I like about Belgium and the Netherlands. I love the efficiency of their trains. Maybe not Belgium, but the others. I love how clean and precise everything is. I love the orderliness, the engineering, and the formality of just everyday life. The architecture, it's fantastic, right? And my background's German, so there's a connection there. But when I get to Southern Europe, it's so laid back, and the food is so good, and the dining at 11 o'clock at night, and wine all the time, and taking your time, and beautiful water, and all that, and it's cheaper. So I'm very Mediterranean. I'm a huge fan of the Mediterranean region. It was really good. And you can make it really cheap. If you had to, take whatever budget you're doing in Nicaragua, you could probably pull that off over there if you really put in the effort, right? Cook at home, go to the little shops to get your food for the day and do stuff like that. You can make it, but traveling around and like seeing a million different places gets very hard because that's costly. Wesley says, one of the times I was in Vietnam, I woke up Monday morning and the Sunday night football playoffs were on. Oh, yeah, in the U.S. Yep, that's some funny stuff. That's how far off it is. I'll be right back. I think I have some bread to hunt down, and I'm getting a little bit more caffeine. And we'll probably do about 20 more minutes is my expectation. So hang out, guys. Ask questions. Get people on. I'm here. Oh, flies come in. Come on. All right, so, we talk. Camera's still on, right? I've been gone for a minute. Let me just double check. It is. All right. Watch out, little dog. I'm sorry. So, we talk about street food and stuff in Nicaragua, and something that often gets overlooked is things like bread that are sold on the street. And this is actually from a lady who sells on the corner by El Convento in downtown Leon. And the bread is absolutely fantastic. I'm told it's 3 different types of cheese, and it's got kind of a buttery thing going on. And there's a panaderia over by Dale's place. It does a butter bread that is so good. And I don't normally like the majority of bread products in Nicaragua. It's just not my style. But some of these have such good quality. This is so soft and cheesy. And it's a very savory cheese. So good. Diego says, I went Spain, France, Italy, and Greece. I've lived in 3 of those, visited the other. All fantastic. All of those can be pretty cheap, and all of them can be expensive depending on what you're doing. But if you can budget $3,000 a month, I think as an individual you'll do really well. And you should be able to get apartments way below $1,000. But because you're only doing it for maybe 1 month at a time, that's where it gets challenging. Steve says, that's a good point, but I saw high-paying jobs in Asia. Typically, Americans can't get, because he's talking about digital nomads, so the jobs wouldn't be in Asia. It's working from Asia, but the job's somewhere else. U.S. remote jobs don't work as well in Asia. Diego says, Germany and Nordics are good sightseeing, but, I don't know, kind of boring, it seems, too orderly. I mean, they are pretty cool. And my Latino blood yearns for opportunity. Spontaneity. This bread is so good. Marlo brought a whole bag of it today. I don't want to go bad, but I want you guys to see it on the show. Really, really good. It is 11:30 here. Your door's out there. Hello. I came in to get some bread.
Oh, mine?
Mm-hmm.
Please don't text it you.
Oh, okay, cool. Just now?
Sure.
Oh, maybe 15 minutes?
Okay.
You want to turn on the AC? Diego says the job market, it's getting tough, man. It's been tough. In the US, it has been rough. Sorry to be eating so much on the show, but it's delicious. Wesley says, how about the French pastry coffee place? I remember having a coffee and a sweet roll there. I do not particularly like some of their stuff. Okay. My kids like it. They really don't eat they don't eat butter. Their stuff, it doesn't do it. Steve says, job interview for iOS. So you didn't make this exact thing at the CTO level before? That is often what it's like. Part of the problem is there's so many candidates. Even if you come up with impossible requirements, the hiring manager doesn't care because they'll just keep interviewing people for forever. It's all the same to them. Just go into meetings, have coffee. You're not getting a treat after you killed a cat today. Mm-mm. Not happening. Yeah, Steve, my job history goes back 37 years. And they'll be like, I have seen firsthand all the, you need more experience on this thing than exists. Which is a really good indicator when it's to be like, oh, now I know it's a scam job. It like announces it. Jan says, I go to Pani Paz twice a week. I buy their whole wheat bread. I like it not sliced, then I slice it myself. Diego says, I'm making my own company so that I can get a job in another country. Ha 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 ha. Alright. What? Are you going to leave because I said, oh, you almost attacked him. You were going to show him. This is our Clive, who killed the cat today and then had to go to hospital because the cat almost took him with him. Got both of his eyes scratched and some other things. But he's doing alright. But we don't like you killing cats. Can't you be friends with the kitties? You know, you think you're protecting us, but you're not. They're our babies too. In his defense, the only cat we know he attacked was not one of ours. It was just in the space of one of ours. But he did scare the crap out of all of ours, so. Joe says, anyone know, I've been to 2 coffee houses here on the way in a couple of miles south of Matagalpa. I felt underdressed in my shorts and hit the coffee museum here today. What? Wait, is there a question there? Anyone know? Did we know that you did that? Diego says, I remember the Fast API creator, something like, I can't apply to this Fast API job because it requires 5 years of experience, and it has only been 3 years since I created that thing. That's like, I've been interviewed by myself, where someone used me as the interview, like it was a written test that I had to take, and I was the writer of the test. I've mentioned that on here before. Like, the weird crap that happens. Just ignore the anyone no.
Why are all these dogs coming over here? What is this? What is all this?
Are you feeling distraught today? Because you ruined everyone's day and everyone's been sad because of you? Is that what's going on? Yeah. I messed up and said I didn't know Python Fast API specifically. Oh, I got open the door. A couple dogs have left, but my Mia, who never leaves me, is still here. You never leave me. Jan says, I tell my students that story about you being forced to take the test you wrote yourself. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, Diego says, OMG, so many devs in Scott's audience. It's true, there are so many devs. That is wild. Sorry for the chewing. Alright, I guess if anybody wants to see this, there's no reason not to. This is real. I'm literally developing this photo platform live. Like, it's very simple, but it's going to have 60,000 photos in it, so I'm just trying to make sure that everything works. All these photos uploaded in the last 5 minutes, just so you know. Joe says, I've met with people here still looking for Barraventa or renta signs for a house in Matagalpa. Just be aware, alquilar is the normal word for renting, not renta. You can see it, but... Oh, we can break it somehow? Probably. It's existed for like 5 minutes. Do you have rate limiting? No, I don't have rate limiting, but I do have Cloudflare Cache. Sorry, all Joe says, sorry, all first time chatting on a phone. That sounds weird, and watching commercials for dollars for Scott. Oh, yes, thank you. Being American makes it easier. The amount of time I've been auto-filtered by the "Are you a U.S. citizen?" question. Oh, yeah, for sure. That's a lot of U.S. jobs require that you're a U.S. citizen. I'm trying to check these really old photos to figure out what we're looking at here. Holy cow, they're old. How did it pick these? Oh, no, there it is. Where did those Mazda pictures come from? There it is. Okay, so it's not properly remembering the alignment. Steve says, then it asked me if I'm a cis male like twice. I have never seen that. That's surprising. Joe says, hard to navigate the tiny buttons on this phone. Diego says, why is that though? The position is already remote. So remote and your citizenship are unrelated components, right? You could be local, and so for example, if you're working for a government contractor, often you have to be an American. Certainly not always, not nearly as often as they try to make it that. A lot of HR departments simply only want Americans. A huge percentage of Americans are very totally willing to lose their own money as long as they support their political views. Americans tend to be xenophobic, so there's a lot of things that drive people towards that. A lot of people just believe they're not allowed to hire outside the country. A lot of people don't know how to hire outside the country. A lot of people are terrified of Homeland Security, and even if it's completely legal to hire someone who's not an American, doesn't mean that it'll be treated that way. Remember, the law doesn't protect you in the U.S. the way that you're used to. You're coming from Nicaragua, where you have really strong rule of law. So imagine a place where you don't know what the law is because it doesn't exist until after you're in court and you find out when it's too late. So you could legitimately, this is completely legal, be arrested in the United States for, oh, you hired a person who, something that was completely legal at the time that you hired them, but the judge has decided that that thing is illegal after you hired them. You're now on the hook for that, right? So anything that gives them fodder is scary, right? It's like famously a judge in Tennessee started arresting people for made-up charges, made up at the time that they made them up, but then they become law at the time that they make them up. So yes, made up and real are the same thing in the U.S., and that judge got taken to court over it, and they ruled absolutely judges can just make up the law. The law doesn't exist until the judge decides what it is. That's the moment the law comes into existence, is when the judge wills it into existence. The only reason that that judge ended up going to jail for forever is because you can't just make up a law that then only targets people of certain ethnicity. That's where they got in trouble, not making up the law, but applying it unevenly. Right, because it wasn't, people can't do this thing. They made it that people of this skin color can't do that thing. That's where they got in trouble. But if it comes to, can you hire non-Americans, for example? Well, the law, certainly the written law, of course, lets you. Business law lets you, but any given judge that you're in front of could decide that that's not what they're going to do. So, scary, right? Oh man, I found a job that's remote only in Texas, which is the best state to move to before leaving the country. That's what I did, and heavily recommend. Wesley says, I remember putting a few photos on Flickr 20 years ago. That's what I did. I started with that, and then it was a platform that I used for forever. I mean, 135 million views, right? Really heavily used. But I'm hoping for the AI bubble to pop. I want to be able to afford computers again. Yeah, but the whole world might collapse when that happens, so it's not necessarily a good thing. Here is me in 2006. Check this out. So this will have a lot of photos soon. I've got a few things yet to correct. But it's a start, and it's only for my photos, so, you know, trying to make it cool and fun and useful. My team is very frustrated that they don't have access to my my stuff, so... All right, you guys are getting pretty quiet. I actually need to wrap this up because I need to do my Duolingo. I need to get ready to hang out with my kids. I got to get this photo sharing app done, which hopefully it will be done maybe even tonight. So by next week, you guys will actually be able to play with it. Janet says, only 20 years ago. It's a good, funny pic. That is my company's co-founder and I in a car on our way to South Carolina long, long ago. Any suggestions? My travel companion has WhatsApp, but with the new SIM card, it's asking him to verify with his U.S. phone number here in Nicaragua. Yes, that's why you always do your WhatsApp before you travel. So you're yeah. So yeah. Oh, how old? I'm 50. Yeah, if your US phone is not functional and you don't already have WhatsApp on that device, that's going to cause problems. He switched SIM cards or he just added a SIM card? Well, I'm going to get ready for my next class. Everyone have a great night. Switch SIM cards for use here. Oh, yes, you never switch SIM cards. Always just add. All modern phones should be able to handle unlimited. There are some legacy ones, but those should handle 2. right? Hopefully, that's tough. If you have to use multiple physical SIM cards and you don't have an international phone that can do it, that's going to cause problems. The assumption is that one, it'll always be there. Something crawling on my leg. When you do the switch, I'm not sure what you can do. WhatsApp gets finicky when you lose the original number. That's one of the things I don't like about it compared to like Telegram and Signal, where they're not tied to a number. That's why they're better for a lot of things. But WhatsApp is the only option. It's what the world uses. So, yeah. But don't switch SIM cards. Man, I need to do a video on everyone needs to be on WhatsApp ahead of time and don't switch SIM cards. All right, guys, got to call it a night. It is getting pretty late. I got to pick people up pretty soon. Got to hang out with my kids. Got to do Duolingo. Boy, there's a lot to do. Thank you so much for coming on so late, getting us 307 views after so little. And really appreciate all of you guys. It has been a fun time. And with that, I will see all of you tomorrow.